What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about a method of concealed carry that has largely fallen out of vogue with the cool kids, largely because in an era of appendix carry with good holsters and max level concealment and the Filster Enigma, does ankle carry still make sense? Now, when we talk about ankle carry, we're often talking about rigs like this. This is the Galco ankle glove. It's generally considered one of the better ankle rigs on the market. There's lots of other ankle rigs. Some of them are pretty good, some are not. This one I really like. It's also kind of the only one that's ever really worked for me. And in it, I have a Smith & Wesson 351 PD, which is a 22 Magnum, and it's the gun I'm going to be using for the shooting demos later. Now, let's talk about ankle carry. Is it fast to get the gun out of? No. Caveat, that depends on your definition of fast. Let's take a look at me just drawing the gun from a standing position, kind of like you would with an appendix carry holster. All right, that was 298 to a hit, which is actually not terrible. I know people whose draw from a good holster is slower than that. Let's do another one. .320. And we'll do one more. See if I can get a clean grab on my pants. The trick is you have to get a clean grab here and come straight up. Now, interestingly, I fouled that draw a little bit, but that was my best one yet. That was a 295. So even with a slightly foul draw, I had a better presentation and drive out to the target with the gun. Let's shoot one double. .296 first shot, .34 split, for a total of 330. All right, so as you can see, I'm at about a 3-second draw for that. Now, that 3-second draw is faster than some people's concealed carry draw, and I would say that if my ankle carry draw is faster than your draw from an appendix carry holster or a belt holster or something like that, you should go practice, like right now. Just whatever you're doing, stop and go dry fire. But that's not the point. The point is that it's clearly not as fast as an appendix carry draw. And to demonstrate that, let me cut to this clip real quick of me doing a failure drill from appendix carry. I got that on camera. That was a clean 167. So, as you can see, a 1.6 failure drill, I fire 3 rounds in half the time it takes me to fire 1 round from the ankle carry position. But that's not what ankle carry is for. And I would argue that the value and the relevance of ankle carry, which is still there, has nothing to do with the speed of getting the gun out of the holster. I think having a fast draw is important, especially from the appendix carry position where you're ideally carrying a full-size handgun with a reasonable number of rounds. The advantage of something like ankle carry is in a situation where your situational awareness allows you to detect the threat, and ankle carry then allows you to conceal your draw. Here is an example of that. hard to see through the windshield. But what I did in that situation was I had already had my hand on the gun, and in about 1.5 seconds, which is now a reasonable draw, was able to draw and fire an aimed round out the open window. Now we're going to do that where I don't start with my hand on the gun. .246 from the car. In that situation, I'm up to about 2.5 seconds where I'm firing the gun out the open window. Now, there's a whole conversation about like fighting from the driver's seat, and I largely agree with Mike Pannone when he talks about how that's kind of a fantasy in the way it's presented in a lot of like tactical training, where you've got guys with Glocks who are shooting out of the driver's seat and transitioning to carbines and that sort of stuff, with this idea that you're going to fight your way out of a complex ambush from the driver's seat. You're probably not. Go watch Mike's videos on this. He's right. Just pay attention to him. But in a civilian concealed carry context where you're at a red light, you're boxed in, and someone is rolling up to your window with a 9mm handgun and you can't E&E, now the idea of a draw from the seated position, a draw from the ankle carry position, or a concealed surreptitious draw suddenly makes a lot of sense. And that's a place where ankle carry does make sense. When I go on long road trips, I will carry my primary handgun at the appendix position, but I'll also carry an ankle gun. And the reason for that is I can draw the ankle gun with one hand surreptitiously. I can have one hand on the wheel, be scanning for traffic, reach down on my pant leg, roll up my pant leg, and get that gun in my hand. And now I have a gun in hand. And if there's one thing that we know, a gun in hand is the fastest possible draw that you can get. And that builds into the idea of the relevance of ankle carry. There's a couple other things too where ankle carry is really good. So again, ankle carry is great for a concealed draw if you're seated. You're seated at a table in a restaurant. You're seated at really any sort of seated position. It's a lot easier to get a surreptitious draw on an ankle gun than it is from any other position. Because if I have to try to surreptitiously draw from the appendix position right now, I've got to clear my concealment garment, get that gun out, and then that gun's coming up and it's flat and level. Right? It's here, it's where people can see it. Whereas with an ankle draw, if I'm drawing from down here, this gun comes up and it's in my hand and it's still under the table. You don't know that I necessarily have a gun in hand. And that's the nice thing about ankle carry, is that surreptitious draw. There's a couple other places where I really, really like ankle carry. And one of them is sort of specific to me. But let's say you're going into an environment and you want to carry a gun, and you know that there is a high probability that you will be hugging people in this environment, and that people in that environment that you're hugging might be anti-gun. A hug is basically a consensual bump frisk, and the number of times that I've hugged my friends who carry guns and been like, I feel your gun, and they've done the same thing to me, it's pretty significant. An ankle carry gets rid of that as a thing that may happen. It means that no one's going to unintentionally bump frisk you while the gun is on your ankle. So let's do a quick recap. Is ankle carry faster than appendix carry? No. Is ankle carry the absolute best solution for concealed carry? Also no. Does ankle carry offer some specific contextual advantages as to why you might want to opt for it given a certain set of circumstances? Of course, if contextual access to a handgun from a concealed position where no one can detect that you've accessed a handgun isn't important to you, then don't do ankle carry, and please continue posting videos of you doing, 1.2 second draws from your appendix gear and telling everybody that appendix is the ultimate way to carry a gun. And I am not digging on appendix. I'm carrying a gun from the appendix position right now. But if there's one thing that I've learned the longer I do this, it's that things that I may have poo-pooed when I was starting off my journey, things that the old timers and the geezers were doing, it turns out they had a reason for that, and a lot of times that reason still makes sense today. I'm Caleb Giddings. Thanks for watching.